Welcome to episode 102 of the Middle-Aged Outlaws podcast. Today, Adam will be discussing the season 1 finale of Lucha Underground, Ultima Lucha. And after roughly about 30 hours of Lucha action in season 1, it's fair to say that the first ever season of Lucha Underground went out with a bit of a bang and leaving us gagging for more.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely gagging for it.
Gagging. Excellent. Good. Okay, let's just so for the episodes that we had left was the three last episodes. We had Penultima Lucha. Then they were giving us a sort of bonus episode of Ultima Lucha, and then we finished with like an hour and a half with Ultima Lucha, which was the real finale of the season, shall we say. So let's just get on cracking into it. Did you enjoy them?
I did. So we're talking, I'll ruin, the magic of podcast land about having watched Penultima Lucha pre-holiday and then Ultima Lucha post-holiday and then got ill and, it'll being some of it being a bit of a blur. But when you're kind of self-medicating, you're taking it all in, but you maybe might find some mysteries in the stuff you've actually written about what was going on.
Well, having been in Amsterdam, I'm sure you are indeed self-medicating during and after.
I'm not, I'm not a teenager anymore, but you try a brownie because you're there.
When in Rome.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's see how we go on. But I think fair to say, for me personally, Penultima Lucha is one of my favourite wrestling things I've ever watched.
Nice.
Now that is obviously recency bias, but I absolutely loved it.
Nice.
I was really looking forward to Vampiro and Pentagon Jr. and my oh my did it deliver. Certainly for me anyway.
Yeah.
Let's talk Penultima Lucha, Adam.
Okay.
We kick off in Dario's office as we do so often. We're with Dario and Big Rick. Dario seems to be determined to put his foot in it with Big Rick. He constantly making some very poor choices of the words he's using. Things like "we've not always seen eye to eye" and "maybe the money has blinded you."
He can't help himself.
No, Big Rick is not impressed at all, and they seem to be sort of reflecting back on where they've come from the start of the season to where we are now. And Dario says he had big plans for Rick. He seems disappointed in him.
Yeah.
But he asks Rick, what matters more to you, money or power? Because Dario's intending on revealing the power of the medallions tonight, which episode 37, we're getting it. We're getting it. Like, we've been waiting for these medallions to see what they'll do for you. So we're getting that tonight. And Rick just takes a medallion and says, I don't have to choose. I'll take the
both.
money and the power.
Yeah.
So everybody else has had to at least win a match for them, apart from Big Rick. But that is his. When you're that big, then fair.
Did he offered Pentagon one, didn't he? Basically sounded like you can just have this, but he was like, nah, I just want Vampiro. I'm not interested in medallion nonsense.
That's it. Yeah. So we are told by Matt Stryker and Vampiro that Prince Puma will speak tonight. He's decided after 30 years on the planet that he'll now open his mouth. And
what was your immediate thoughts on hearing that?
No.
Yeah,
that's
same.
it.
And then I very quickly came to that. It probably won't happen. It'll be fine.
Yeah. We are treated to Johnny Mundo versus Tejano for our first match. We get quite an enjoyable match. I think we've said before that we like heel Johnny Mundo probably better than sort of tweener or face or just sort of meh Johnny Mundo.
A lot more interesting as a heel. Yeah.
We get quite an interesting conversation between Vampiro and Matt Stryker, who are discussing the merits of man strength versus gym strength.
Yeah.
I assume Tejano is the man strength here.
I think so, yeah.
But it's a really good match, and I've got my notes here that heel Johnny is just so much more fun to watch.
Oh, yeah.
He's so vicious, and then he pulls off these unbelievable moves.
And Tejano's just an ass kicker. He's just class at that.
He's brilliant.
Yeah.
He's still brilliant. he's been one of the big surprises for me, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, stuff like Tejano does weird stuff every now and again. Like he did this big sort of monkey flip, and you don't really see him as being that mobile.
No.
And then he pulls off these crazy moves. But ultimately, we end up with the crew arriving as Tejano's about to powerbomb Johnny Mundo. So the crew get involved, and Johnny Mundo is disqualified. We get the de facto leader of the crew now. No, we don't at all. I'm misreading my notes. I thought Chavo was appearing. It's not, it's Alberto.
It's Alberto.
Alberto El Patron arrives and helps Tejano batter the crew, along with the help from Tejano's bull rope. These two, obviously, from where they started on this series, they started off as rivals.
Mm-hmm.
I like that it's not just like, hey, we're both good guys, so let's celebrate together.
Yeah,
they face
a bit
off.
Tense. It's a bit of a standoff, but not really a confrontation.
Yeah, they just sort of go out separate corners of the ring and disperse like that.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of he's done this in a few matches now, the leg lariat by Tejano.
Do you like that? The sort of like a big famouser type thing he does,
Yeah.
Back to Dario's office. It's Hernandez who is in. Our disappointed boy that we're very... we were
so excited.
We were.
Just hasn't quite delivered.
Dario tells Hernandez that he's adding an extra week to Ultima Lucha, and next week there will be a lumberjack match. I don't know if he uses that term, but he basically says that there'll be fans all around the ring with leather belts.
So I've written, and I don't know if he calls it this. Did he call it the Believers Backlash?
The Believers Backlash match. Yeah, that's what he calls it. Hernandez says, I hope you have insurance, because if someone tries to hit me, I'll paint the canvas red with their blood.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a risky... we'll talk about it when we get to the match, but it's
So it says quite the concept.
Yep, and a lot of trust going into Hernandez to not lose his temper.
Yeah,
very interesting. Our next matchup is just like we seem to be. Have we had this match before? Yeah, did we just have it last week?
Yeah,
the Mack, our boy, the Mack versus Cage. He's a machine. These two go well together, definitely. They have a really good match. Vampiro seems to be obsessed with talking about the Mack's look. He describes him as a bumblebee. And he says Cage looks like a bumblebee squisher. But Mack gets a cheeky wee roll up. I think he hits a sunset flip and gets the win.
Sunset flip, very quick win. And Cage is not happy about that. He's absolutely raging. He just starts absolutely beating the hell out of the Mack as soon as the match is over.
It's brilliant. They start sort of fighting across the arena and all that, don't they? Across the temple. Vampiro is loving this. Dario comes out of his office, tells him to hold on. He says, is it for next week at Ultima Lucha? He says, part 1, I'm going to find everything in my temple, put it around the ring and let you go at it. It'll be the Mack versus the Machine in a Falls Count Anywhere match.
Yeah.
So we're getting stipulation heavy for Ultima Lucha, but we can... Normally that's no, like, you and I would no be a fan of that. Maybe one stip match.
Yeah.
But with this, it feels different.
I was feeling fairly confident because everything they've done as a gimmick type match has worked in a different way to what we're used to seeing.
That's true. Okay, it's a very Dario heavy episode. This Dario is what were you going to say there?
I'm fairly sure as well, just after this has all been announced, that Matt Striker kind of alludes that Dario's on coke.
Yeah, he does. Yep, he says something about something that's fueling him or something like that. Class. Dario is in the ring. He has got a gift of the gods belt, which has got each medallion in it. Mm-hmm. What a concept this is.
Yeah, like this.
It looks... Yeah, obviously, presumably they've known where this is going when they've had the medallions and all that. I didn't see this coming at all, did you?
No, I really like just we're used to seeing belts that have, a main plate and then smaller plates around the side. It just brought something different to that whole look.
It's brilliant. So I've got my notes. This is Money in the Bank, but they just can't cash it in whenever they want, which is kind of what Dario's saying. He's saying this whoever holds the Gift of the Gods belt will have to defend it, but they can also call their shot in advance to allow him to promote it. And I like how he always the promoter. You must give me some time to.
I think he said minimum 1 week notice. Right.
So to win this Gift of the Gods belt at Ultima Lucha, there'll be a 7-way match, and the only way that you can be involved in the match is if you've got one of these medallions. So I think he has everyone come down to the ring and put their medallions in the belt. Yeah, and they look like they like magnetize in or something like that. They just flick in there like that. So we've got Jack Evans, King Cuerno, Bengala, Aerostar, Sexy Star, Big Rick, and the commentators didn't know. That's another example, like something that's happened in the office and that they didn't. They're like, "Oh, Big Rick's got one." Didn't know that.
Yeah.
Phoenix, who initially had the first one. I think Dario says something like Phoenix did have one, but Mil Muertes killed him. I'm sure.
He says that. So basically, they're talking about missing one of the medallions before Phoenix makes his return.
Yep, and like you say, Phoenix makes his return, and Dario says, "Okay, you can be in the Battle Royal to decide who is the next or who's the last medallion holder and the last entrant in the match for Ultima Lucha." So we then get a Battle Royal. So this is kind of like everybody that's left over. Anybody that's not got a match for Ultima Lucha can go in here. It's a shame for Killshot. I would say him, Phoenix are probably the ones who are like the not the lowest tier. Like you've got like that Vinny Samaro and Superfly and people. Marty the Moth as well. I know you're going to say Marty the Moth.
Famous B in this.
Well, Famous B absolutely runs wild in this.
He does. He has a hell of a start, Famous B.
He hits a pedigree, a leg drop. He eliminates loads of guys. Our Hennessy eliminates that.
They've been saving it all for this.
Maybe. So yeah, we're not going to go through this, are we?
No, I think I've not really written down what happened even for each elimination. Just that guys were getting eliminated as we were going.
I think we would have thought that Phoenix would be on the Ultima Lucha card. So it is Phoenix that wins the Battle Royal.
I think, does we Sagrada, does he eliminate himself? I was feeling a bit bad for him.
Oh, does he?
Gets a wee bit carried away in a move.
Oh, yes.
Puts himself over as well.
He does a monkey flip on the apron on Superfly and falls out. At least Davari didn't win this.
True. Yeah, was that your big fear in this?
A little bit, yeah. Jinky be back for season 2? Surely no.
Probably not. I was full faith. I think I proclaimed in a recent episode that Marty the Moth give him a year and he will be world champion. I thought it's going to happen a lot sooner because he's going to take. So it was him. Was it him and Phoenix that were the last two? Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely some stuff to be talked about Marty later on, which is going to be interesting. Okay, so this brings us to our kind of main event thing of the episode, which is Prince Puma is going to speak. I like he's got a new mask on. Mm-hmm. He's normally wearing the yellow mask. He's got a black mask on. It all looks very cool, serious. Yeah. He is about to speak, but of course, Mil Muertes and Katrina interrupt him. Mil has a 3-piece suit on and looks much more than $1 million. Unbelievable.
Nice.
They're at the top of the stairs. The Disciples of Death jump Prince Puma from behind. But shame on shame on the love triangle because Prince Puma manages to beat all those guys down on his own. Mil Muertes runs down to the ring to meet him, and they go at it. And I liked, again, like I feel like you're seeing more sort of sides of Prince Puma here because he manages to deal with Mil Muertes, and he runs his thumb across his throat towards Katrina and hits his 630 onto Mil.
Yeah, they're obviously it's kind of felt like we were heading towards maybe an inevitable coronation for Mil Muertes, and then they've I think just underlined Prince Puma's credentials here and just shown him to be every bit a match. And in fact, there is something different. He's not had Conan with him. Did Conan get put in a coffin? Is that when we last saw Conan?
I can't remember.
And they're making a big thing, I think, through this that Conan is not going to be by Prince Puma's side.
That's why he was going to speak, right? Yeah. Okay, so that was our penultima, our part one. Did you feel like this was a pay-per-view in 2 parts, or did you feel like this was like the, you know, what the WWE now have? They have like, you know, the hour before a pay-per-view.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it kind of, to me, the penultimate and the Ultima Lucha could have all been kind of one thing.
Yep.
Because it felt like a warm-up, and here's
did.
part one. But I suppose the way that they were doing it, I don't know how late in the day they decided that they were going to do a part one of Ultima Lucha and then the double episode part 2, because they only started like talking about that maybe on the penultimate show,
like the week before.
Yeah. Maybe all in one would have been a bit much. Maybe it would have felt like one of those WWE premium live events that just seems to go on for hour after hour after hour.
5.5 hour WrestleMania 35 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is part 1 of Ultima Lucha, episode 38. We kick off with Dario. He's the main character of this show, isn't he?
Yeah, I think so.
He is taunting Black Lotus. He's got her caged up opposite his brother. He offers her some champagne. He's very excited. I think he's maybe wearing like a proper tuxedo, isn't he?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
very swish.
Dressed for the occasion.
He was hoping that her spending so much time with his brother would have given her a change of heart. But he talks about his brother's only really a monster because his father made him that way. He seemed to indicate that his dad would use his brother to fight in pits, like a pit bull. He says he may be a monster, but he's not a killer. And he says that the actual killer of Black Lotus's parents is your boy, the snake oil salesman.
Yeah.
What's his name?
El Dragon Azteca.
Do you believe this, or is this another one of Dario's?
I just couldn't believe how quickly Black Lotus seemed to be buying this.
Aye. She's not questioning it at all.
Now, maybe if you've been in a pit next to a monster for a while, it starts to skew your senses a little bit, possibly. But yeah, he started feeding this story and she was lapping it up.
Aye, 100%. Now, I've got my notes here. She fights the wall in comedy fashion, but I don't know what that... I don't remember what that refers to. Does she just start battering the wall?
I've got her... I've got, does she believe him? He says he knows the truth hurts, but it can also set her free. She's hitting the wall. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay. A wall puncher. I never had her doing as a wall puncher, but you know, takes all sorts. Okay, so this takes us to our first match of Ultima Lucha, and it's going to be Mack and Cage. He's a machine in a Falls Count Anywhere match, and this was mental.
Yeah.
And just exactly what you thought it would be.
Yeah.
I thought Cage looked abnormally huge.
Yeah. But the thing is, like, because the Mack is a big guy. And, Cage is... I don't know if it's partly due to the way... Because they do a lot of this to each other. They're just manhandling each other. They're throwing each other around quite brutally. I don't know why I'm more comfortable with the sort of more hardcore style matches in this setting than I am in other wrestling, because I just kind of switch off to them in other wrestling. I don't mind them here at all.
Aye, it'll be interesting to see what you say about the Pentagon and Vampiro match later on as well. But I feel like that as well. It doesn't feel... It feels like it suits the setting. There's definitely an ECW aspect to it, where it's like gritty and dirty, and it just seems to suit it.
Yeah.
So round about this point that you notice that they've got these big, long banners around the temple of all the different fights, Ultima Lucha, and it looks amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, so I wasn't sure, with this being a big show, would they light it a wee bit differently? Would the production values seem higher? There was none of that, really, but they did dress up the temple a little bit.
Yeah. This match was pretty mental. They, like you say, they're just sort of going at it on different bits and pieces. Here we've got a T-bone suplex by the Mack in the bleachers with all the fans around them going mental.
Yeah.
Some huge chair shots by Cage. Mack spears Cage through, I think, the office door, or certainly a door.
Yeah.
There's a fire extinguisher, a stop sign gets added in, and I always think the stop sign especially, I always question that. You just have to embrace it, don't you?
It was always the trash can lids for me. I just as soon as I saw one of them shots in a hardcore match, I was like, nah.
Too much. We've got Mack pulls a cooler filled with beers and ice out from underneath the ring. He smashes Cage over the head with it, which you can't train to take that. Like, he smacks him over the head with it. He picks up 2 beers, pops them open, and hits a stunner, which is just, the crowd, I've never heard the crowd go so wild before. It's absolutely brilliant.
Is this the point where Vampiro seems to leave the announce desk because he wants a better view of what's going on?
Oh, does he?
I think so, yeah.
We get a Cage gets a beer bottle smashed over his head, but instead of taking him down, it just seems to enrage him.
Yep.
We get we've got a table out now, and I'm just conscious that the tempo is just going. It's like it's moving or vibrating or something. How do we get into the finish? Vampiro, I've got here. Vampiro says he needs to take a shower. He's clearly very excited by the violence that's going on. Spinebuster by Mack onto a garbage can on the office roof. I was worried that they were, you can go too many times through that office roof and all that. It'll slowly or quickly lose its shock value. But what have we got? Cage suplexing. That's right. So they finish up on the office roof. Go on.
It's I think he curb stomped the Mack's head when it's on a cinder block. So basically through a cinder block, which it looked pretty cool because it didn't look too much like it. It didn't
it didn't look like it just crumbled, like it was clay or something.
And it did break away, okay, but it didn't look totally flimsy when it did it, which gave it a good, impactful look.
I was just worried that he was going to kick out. I was so happy that he stomped him into this, and that was the end of the match. Good decision.
That's too much for a man in his pants. That's it.
It's fair. A bumblebee in his pants. So Cage gets the win.
Yeah.
Fair. And I think, things going differently. Cage could have been in a much more highly prominent match on
I quite liked what they did with the Mack, because they programmed him with who we perceive as a top guy, and they gave him a win. Well, I think maybe 2 wins actually over him in the build up to this, and they had him be competitive with him all the way through.
Very, very rare that anybody gets on this show is made to look bad, but also not in an unbelievable way.
Yeah,
either. Okay. Here we go. Our next match. This was just going to be matches back to back now, isn't it? Pretty much.
Pretty much, yeah.
Our Trios Championship match, the Disciples of Death, with new masks.
Yeah.
They look slightly better, would you agree?
They probably looked slightly better. I'm not at all sold by them as a trio.
I was a little bit annoyed that this was Tornado rules.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, it can't really be, but I just thought that feels lazy. That just feels like, okay, let's just... We've just seen a Falls Count Anywhere match. Let's have a bit of order here. Yeah. But yeah, I still can't believe Ivelisse is still on crutches.
I know, like... We're weeks and weeks and weeks now, and obviously, she's done pretty well. I think I've got this in my notes at the start, so bear in mind that I was feeling a wee bit unwell at this point. I think Melissa is my favourite announcer in the history of wrestling. I've got that at the top of my notes.
Like that. Yeah. Even over Finkel?
It seems that was my thought in the moment.
Okay, fair enough. You're just living in the moment. Reflecting on it now, do you feel regret over making that statement?
Regret's maybe too strong. I mean, she's among the upper echelon, I would think.
Rank your top 5 right now.
I probably would have to go Fink as one.
Right.
He's iconic. He's the Fink.
Oh, yeah. Melissa 2?
Melissa 2. I wasn't a big fan of the one that WWE let go.
Justin Roberts?
No, the woman from a couple of years ago.
Ricochet's wife. What's her? Samantha?
I just felt like she was a bit much.
Yeah.
I felt like she wanted it to be about her. It's not about you.
Aye. I obviously hadn't seen this before, but my kids were watching, and when Cody won the title, finally, whatever WrestleMania was, she was like crying when she was announcing.
Was like breaking as she was announcing.
You imagine Howard Finkel doing that?
He'd be a professional till the end, and so would Melissa.
You've only got 2. What is Lillian Garcia in your?
I mean, given she is one I remember, she must be top 5.
What about some of these celebrity ones? Remember about that guy that was like, was he like a wig salesman or something like that?
Yeah, I don't think he cracks the list. I'm trying to think, Burt Reynolds was very much phoning it in at Mania 10.
Yeah.
Was it 10? No. Or was it
it was 10. Was it?
Was it 10? 10, yeah.
Tony Chimmel? Is that
Oh, yeah.
Is that a guy?
That name sounds familiar.
Justin Roberts does AEW.
Okay.
I'm not a massive fan of the way that he says Jan. Anyway, we'll stick with your top 3.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm happy with that.
Okay. Well, this conversation was more riveting than Trios match for the Trios title. We seem to be getting a lot of the Disciples getting beat down. Do they have names?
I think they were. I think the 3 names were given, but I didn't bother.
I've got purple mask guy, gold mask guy. Yeah.
I feel a bit annoyed that this fantastic package of Mil Muertes and Caterina has had this added to it. Didn't need it.
Now, what could they have done differently? Added the crew to them if they needed minions?
Maybe. I just don't know that I would have added anyone.
It seemed like they wanted them to have all the gold. That's the thing.
Yeah, which I think we called fairly early when we saw the alliance. So this was probably inevitable. There's also something. So we've had Ivelisse basically on one leg for weeks. There's also now just an expectation every time we see Angelico that he's just going to go up somewhere and dive off.
Aye, and he does it again. And what did he do? He dived onto 2 of them. It's too much. Like, that'd be the 3rd time.
Yeah, the first time it was done, awesome. Don't do it again for ages.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the second time was the drop kicked somebody off a ladder, didn't he? Yeah. You can't really top that. The first one was amazing.
Amazing. And the timing of it was ridiculous.
Aye.
But yeah, you can't. It's the whole thing about, the the TLC matches, which were phenomenal in their time. It's like, all right, what's next? Where do you go from there?
You kind of keep doing the sort of slingshot spear spot in every match. It kind of just disappears. So
Havoc's
Katrina
still our boy, though.
Yes, definitely. Get him a mid-card title run.
Yeah.
Katrina basically wins this match, doesn't she?
Yeah.
She hits Ivelisse in the head with her stones, if you will.
She does. Ivelisse is it feels like basically at a point she's had enough of Katrina's shit, and she is just going to stand up to her, and I think she does maybe knock her down at a point.
She does, yeah.
But yeah, I think Katrina gets back on top and just KOs her with the Stone of Death.
To allow the gold masked one to cover Ivelisse, and the highlight of the match for me, Katrina gives Ivelisse the lick of death. Vampiro goes incredibly quiet at that point.
It's having a private moment.
I can't wait to hear what you think of the guy that was commentating on Ultima Lucha, by the way.
Oh, no.
The guy that must have previously been an auctioneer.
Yeah, this guy. When you're not really feeling at your best. You didn't need that guy.
Class. Right, Believers Backlash match is next. We get an entrance for some of the guys, including Hot Tub Guy, who Vampiro's very excited about.
Yeah, I couldn't figure out, who these guys were. Were they just genuine, loyal fans of the brand? Because you're giving them all straps, whips, whatever they were, and basically allowing them to attack, well, I was going to say the performers, but Hernandez.
Just Hernandez, Yeah. I think Vampiro and Striker are sitting drinking a beer for this match, aren't they?
Yeah, they just before this match started, they kind of saluted the crowd in the show and had a beer.
All right. Something tells me Vampiro's sober, though.
Okay.
When we watched that documentary, I'm sure he was.
You get some decent no alcohol beers these days.
It's very true. Very true. The crowd seemed pumped for this, probably because of the novelty of what it was.
Yeah.
A lot. We've got a Drago's going to kill you chant from the Believers. I don't know. Do you want to talk through this? I feel like it's lots. It's a novelty, of course, and Hernandez gets chucked out quite a lot, and the guys go after him. There's times where I think, were they supposed to actually hit him there? What have these guys been told?
So what? When he first gets knocked out, obviously he's being hit by a few, and he's got some. If this was all planned and went down exactly as it was supposed to, Hernandez had some fantastic facial reactions to what was going on because he genuinely looked like he was going to murder guys a couple of times. I was getting a little bit nervous. And when it's mentioned that Hernandez can hit back at the Believers, insurance waivers have been signed. Vampiro is absolutely astonished by this. No, he can't. He can't. Obviously, he can't do that. It's assured by Striker. Yes, he can. So it's every time he goes out, it is basically like a guy hits him from one side, and as soon as he basically turns around to confront that guy, another guy hits him, and he's just he's quickly realizing that he needs to stay in the ring. Vampiro, Hernandez. Sorry. I think there's a moment where Vampiro says, "If you don't believe in dragons, you're not a real man." We get the contrast of Drago being knocked out of the ring, and they do not make any attempt to strike him. So the outside is going to be friendly for him.
Pretty cool visual. They almost backed him up like they were part of his gang sort of thing.
Yeah. And as soon as they're doing that and backing him up, Hernandez's fury is just going to a whole other level. Don't know how he didn't realise it would go down like this. So Hernandez, it is basically a game of him being knocked out and then fighting his way back in. He does at a point grab a whip off one of the fans. And that was probably the moment where I was like, I
bet that guy shit himself, whether or not that was planned or not.
I was thinking, I've been disappointed by his run, but I don't need Hernandez getting fired for just absolutely destroying some fans. Hernandez hits a big sit-down powerbomb. He's playing his cocky prick character here as soon as he gets his momentum going. But it's quite back and forth generally. Drago with a big tornado DDT tries to slam Hernandez but can't move him off his feet. He goes for is it called the Dragon's Tail? Is that his pinning combination thing? But Hernandez just too strong for him to keep him down with that. We get Hernandez border tossing Drago out of the ring and onto the Believers.
Yeah, like nobody caught him.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously these guys aren't trained professionals or anything like that, but like nobody caught him.
Yeah. I was imagining if you're just a guy that's been asked to take part in this and you see an actual human being flying towards you, your instinct might be just get out of the way. Hernandez ends up outside at a pot. Drago hits him with some mist, which is that the first mist we've seen from Drago?
Possibly.
And he's getting whipped and he's selling that he can't see, so he crawls under the ring. Fairly smart thing to do. Can't imagine any of these guys are going to want to follow. That seems a risky move on their part. And Drago gets a table out while this is going on. Hernandez does get out. I was waiting for some big spot, but he just kind of appears on the other side of the ring, and he's getting whipped again. And then does Drago have nunchucks? Yes, he does.
He does, swinging them about like Michelangelo.
It is. I was thinking, what's going on here with nunchucks? And then he starts striking Hernandez in the head. And then he puts Hernandez onto the table. Drago leaps off the turnbuckle onto the table on the outside on Hernandez, through the table, and then I think it was a second splash by Drago to get him the win.
Surprised at Drago getting that win, but he's obviously thought highly of. He's been in higher spots probably than Hernandez throughout the season.
Yeah, it's true. And then what have we got after that? Oh, we've got... My notes are great here. Who are these lads? Is one of them El Dragon Azteca?
So
seems to be wanting to get in to save the Black Lotus, but who is the other guy?
Yeah, and I don't think that was clear. There's like a hooded guy and the Azteca guy, isn't there?
So he's told that the prophecy says he may die, but
if he enters the temple, is that?
Yeah. But he says El Dragon Azteca will live forever. Even if he dies, El Dragon Azteca will live forever. I think that's the closing segment for Ultima Lucha 1.
Yeah, I've said here that that episode was like an adrenaline rush episode. It just seemed to start and never stop with the...
Yeah, it's quite a pace. Which gave me a little bit of the fear going into 2, because I was thinking, if this is an hour and a half, are they just going to absolutely steam through with the same kind of pace as they had with that one?
Yeah, you can't really do that, can you? But
yeah, you need to have something that slows it down a wee bit.
Yep. And talking of things that slow down the momentum of a season, I honestly couldn't believe we're on the last episode and it was this random guy, Mike Schiavello. Is that right? Mike Schiavello?
Yeah.
That introduces us to Ultima Lucha. We got a full season 1 recap basically, which was a really good thing to have gotten actually.
Yeah.
And then we get this guy with Striker and Chavello, and this guy is talking 100 to a dozen. Now, if you're suffering with COVID, like you were, I can't imagine that this guy was welcome on your screen.
Like what I'm emotionally prepared for when part 1 ended, because I watched them in separate days, was I thought, I'll do part 2. I'll try and do it all in one go. And I thought, Vampiro, his match is a headline match. He'll come out and do the first bit of the show, and then maybe somebody else will sit in his place. But no. There's no Vampiro on the announce desk for any of this. And yeah, we've got this hyper guy, and it went through me a wee bit.
Yeah, I thought if anything, Striker would be going Joey Styles style on his own.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've said it's quite a bold move to change the commentary team in in the finale. But of course, Vampiro's wrestling by. I thought he might.
Yeah.
I thought he might just do it up until his match as well, but never mind. They kick off with an absolutely class match. Probably one of the best matches of the whole season.
Yeah.
Up there with the All Night Long match. Johnny Mundo and Alberto El Patron. I think, putting it into perspective, if this match kicked off a WWE pay-per-view that we were watching in 2012, we wouldn't be, safe to say, we wouldn't be pumped to watch it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, true.
They certainly wouldn't get this level of time and sort of the way that their characters have been highlighted anyway. But it's a really, really good match, eh?
Yeah, very, very good. I think I only had a slight irritation with the end. Okay,
let's just, because there's no point in talking through move to move, because it's genuinely really worth seeing.
Yeah.
This match, but we don't. I don't think we have. Do we? Oh, we do. We do. I was going to say I don't think we have like anyone running in or anything like that.
Yeah.
But of course we do.
I do have quite early on in my notes. I don't have a huge amount of notes because I think I was just kind of sitting back and taking this in. But I have written, this is a main event match anywhere in the world.
Oh,
yeah,
that's quite the proclamation.
Yeah,
anywhere in the world apart from WWE.
Well, they obviously wouldn't want to make it a main event match, but if they chose to, it'd be an awesome match.
This is why we need other promotions. This is why a non-monopoly is important, regardless of what you think, I think.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's not get in our soapbox. So we get the ref takes a bump, and El Patron's got the armbar on, and Johnny Mundo's tapping, but the ref is down. He then gets something almost like in a tarantula style armbar, but he gets it on his arm, hanging over the ropes, and they refer to her as Melina.
Yeah.
Is that her WWE name?
It was, yeah.
Right. We've not seen her at all the whole season. I think she's John Hennigan Morrison's wife in real life, isn't she?
So they certainly were together.
Right.
I think when they were in WWE, they were a genuine couple, so I assume they still are at this point.
Right. So she hits El Patron with his AAA mega belt title. And that allows Johnny Mundo to hit the end of the world. So I agree with you. The ending was a bit of a damp squib compared to the match.
I just feel like, because I feel like we've had these guys face off and it's been interrupted, and this is your biggest show, so just have no interruption because it's been such a good match. Yeah,
especially with her. There wasn't anybody else to run in or anything like that. Yeah. This was a blow off. Yeah. Disappointing. Yeah. So we get Johnny and his Melina celebrating. El Patron gets back to his feet and bangs Johnny off every potential thing that he could across the temple, and then launches him through the wooden chairs, and then smashes his head through the window of a door, very similar to what Johnny did to him.
I feel like if Johnny had just, cheated to win without interference, then you could have played this off exactly the same way. You could have had a furious Alberto just, ending him.
Especially when she tries to attack him and he just sort of waves his finger and starts spanking her on the backside.
Yeah.
I don't know if you noticed, but the amount of blood come for for Johnny Mundo's head was like pretty scary, actually. Yeah. Okay, so it's not all matches back to back. We're back where the cages are, where Matanza and Black Lotus is. Remind me his name. Azteca.
El Dragon Azteca.
El Dragon Azteca has arrived, and he's found Black Lotus. This all gets a bit very camp. I kind of like it. She asks him if he's come for her. He says he's getting her out of there. But Dario enters, as he always... There must be multiple Darios. He appears. He says, "You've broken the treaty by entering the temple, and the penalty for breaking the treaty is death."
Yep.
He goes to remove the key, and I'm like, yes, we're getting the rhino or whatever that thing is that's in there. But Black Lotus grabs Azteca and, like, palm strikes him in the spine.
Mm-hmm.
I assume killing him.
Yeah, that's what I wrote. Just killed him.
He's dead.
Yep.
Dario is stunned. He can't quite believe his luck. Although he says that she's started a war, and the only one who can protect her is Dario Cueto.
Yep.
He unlocks the cage I think he unlocks her cage, and he unlocks his brother's cage, and they take off.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. So I kept thinking, what's his name, Matanza? When's he going to become a real factor? But I'm assuming they're now saving that for season 2.
Must be.
Yeah.
Do you know who this guy is? Matanza. No. Have you seen this new guy that debuted for the Bloodline, or the fake Bloodline?
Jeff Cobb.
Jeff Cobb, aye, that's who's underneath there.
Is he? I've heard the name, never seen any work. Is that considered a good?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think he was thought ill of in New Japan.
Okay.
He's thick as a barn door sort of thing, isn't he? He's big lad.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so this takes us to our Cero Miedo match between Pentagon Jr. and Vampiro. And this is the main event pretty much for me, I think. Does it feel like that for you?
Yeah, it's a big deal. And I actually wondered if it would go on potentially right at the end, which again was part of my wondering about the commentary situation, if they would leave them on for the first half. But it felt... I mean, it is quite early in the card, isn't it? I like the sort of the story that's on the go. I thought Stryker was actually doing his bit really well. He's talking about, I know Ian, I don't know Vampiro.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you don't get to know Vampiro. I know Ian, and he said something like Vampiro has told Stryker that he is not afraid to die, and you're like thinking, you know, with everything we've heard and seen about Vampiro, the fact that there could actually be these two totally different personalities within his head is not in any way far-fetched.
Nah, it's hard. It's difficult to tell where Vampiro ends and Ian Hodgkinson starts and vice versa. Yeah. I really liked the less than enthusiastic introduction from Melissa Santos for Pentagon. I noticed it this time. I think you'd mentioned it before.
Yeah.
So he comes out, and then Vampiro comes out dressed like the lead singer of Ghost. He's like dressed like a satanic priest.
Yep.
He looks amazing. So cool. He comes through the crowd. I think as soon as you see Vampiro, it's like, oh man, yes, this is going to be amazing. They jumpstart it, or Pentagon jumpstarts it pretty quickly, starts hammering Vampiro with chair shots.
Yeah.
They fight round the crowd. Pentagon starts lifting the mats on the outside. I think he body slams Vampiro on the concrete a couple of times. He just starts throwing chairs at him whilst he's on the ground. So at this point, Stryker sounds quite upset on commentary.
Yeah, because I think it's just after that, Vampiro's like, his hands are like trembling. And I think the ref is trying to basically get him to quit the match. And
the ref throws up the X.
Yeah.
So we get Vampiro being carted away on a stretcher. But just as he's about to be put in an ambulance.
He was,
he starts battering the paramedic, and he sort of stumbles his way back to the ring, which just basically gives Pentagon the opportunity to go at him again. But somehow, some way, Vampiro starts pulling off some moves.
He does a fantastic... You know, it's all helped by the face paint and all that, but Pentagon's shocked look at Vampiro coming back was fantastic.
Amazing. And Vamp hits a spinning back kick, which knocks down Pentagon. He brings in the little black bag. He's got some thumbtacks, slams Pentagon onto them. I think Vampiro then goes for a moonsault.
He does, yeah.
And ends up missing and landing in the tacks.
Yep.
It's at this point in time that Pentagon brings out the light tubes.
Yep.
All taped together and smashes them over Vampiro's head. Crazy. Whenever I see light tubes like that, I just think of that Nick Gage, David Arquette thing that happened.
Oh, yeah.
He starts running the broken end of the light tube into Vampiro's forehead. He starts licking the blood off his fists.
Yeah. So there's two things in this that I really didn't like, and that was one of them.
The blood licking.
Not in the licking blood off the fist. Not in the chair shots to the head when somebody has had the amount of injuries that Vampiro has had.
It's the throw in the chair. You can't control that.
Yeah.
It's like Sabu used to do. It's just brutal looking. Pentagon runs up and volleys Vampiro in the head at one point as well.
Yeah.
But we get Vampiro consistently fighting back every now and again. Vampiro ends up hip tossing Pentagon Jr. in the corner with a bunch of light tubes set up. It's at this point he starts ripping away at the mask of Pentagon Jr., which was crazy. Like, you can pretty much see his face.
Mm-hmm.
He starts smashing the light tubes. He hits a belly to belly from the top rope onto the tacks and all the broken light tubes and everything.
Yeah.
Mental. Things get as if they could, but things get turned up a notch where Vampiro brings a table in the ring and he starts spraying it with petrol or whatever. But Pentagon, he lights the table on fire. He's obviously got bad intentions on his mind, but Pentagon slams Vampiro through the table. Vampiro is on fire.
Yeah.
Rolling around in the ring.
He's rolling away from the guy with the fire extinguisher, which was stressing me out.
That is enough to allow Pentagon to get the win. It's just punishment after punishment. It's crazy the amount of punishment Vampiro takes on that.
Yeah.
Pentagon, as he's known to do, grabs the microphone after the match. I assume he's going to dedicate. He's asking his master to show himself, isn't he? Mm-hmm. Vampiro's screaming at him to break his arm, and Pentagon obliges him.
Yep.
Breaks the arm. Pentagon gets Mike. He says, "Master, it's time to finish what you promised. Where are you?" And Vampiro has the mic, and he says, "Your master is here. You're now ready." I wish we'd never speculated, because it was such a good end to it all.
Yeah.
And Vampiro,
I'm so curious about where we go from here. With this.
Does Vampiro go back to? That's what I thought too. Does he go back to commentating now? Surely no.
Yeah, was he always a commentator in AAA as well? I know he had like a behind the scenes role as well, quite heavily involved. But yeah, we watched his documentary was showing him in his various roles in AAA. But yeah, I was thinking, they can't bring back this other announcer guy. I'm not going to be able to keep up with that. So I'm curious when we move forward to see how we end up. But yeah, I thought it was really well done. Given I had a suspicion about what way I thought it was going to go, I probably didn't expect quite the level of, not just that. Like I probably wasn't that shocked to see him, getting a light tube, Vampiro getting a light tube smashed over him, and the cut to the head and all that, and the chairs to the head and neck. I'm a bit like, don't do that. But he was taking proper bumps as well, which I was watching thinking that Taz probably having a light tube jammed in your forehead's pretty terrifying. But I think to a guy that's had loads of surgeries, flipping off a turnbuckle or something like that must be absolutely terrifying.
He was like shuffling about in that documentary, like he could barely get about.
Yeah.
That was really quite surprising. Oh dear. Okay. Apologies, Adam.
So they were able to play it really well because obviously the way they've had Pentagon calling out his master and asking his master to show himself plays into the fact when he was calling out Vampiro, he did not know he was calling out his master.
Yep.
So yeah, thought it was a good story, well told.
Definitely, really good. Good to see where it goes in season 2.
Yeah.
Okay, our next match is a 7-way. Is it a 7-way?
Yeah, 7-way.
7-way. Gift of the Gods match. The winner will end up with the Gift of the Gods belt. As we said before, that will allow them to call their shot against whoever walks away with the Lucha Underground. I like that they have to defend it.
Mm-hmm.
I like that because sometimes I used to think that with Money in the Bank, like this guy's held onto this for so like somebody should challenge him for it.
Yeah. See, it used to be quite common. People would hold it for about 9 months or something like that. And I think once or twice, probably due to injury or just trying to up the stakes, people were maybe challenged for their shot. But this is different. This feels like you are going to have to be on it, and you probably don't want to try and hold on to it for too long.
Yeah, and if you've got that, it's a bit like defending number 1 contendership status sort of thing, which I quite like.
Yeah.
Oh God Almighty! So something we've never seen before. Big Rick is in trunks.
Yes.
What an absolute mammoth of a man!
I was thinking early on in this match that it brought out the beast in him because he was absolutely destroying people early on in this.
So who we got? Big Rick, Phoenix, Sexy Star, Aerostar, Bengala, Jack Evans and King Cuerno. I think I might be becoming a Bengala man, by the way.
I think. Okay.
Quite enjoy some of the stuff that he's doing. I quite like the fact that he's quite tubby as well, but he still does all these crazy things. And he's wearing that cat mask.
He did. I don't know what I mean in my notes here, but they're quite early. Where I said Bengala with a really cool backbreaker on King Cuerno. I can't now remember what was really cool about it.
Okay. I wonder if I've got something about it. I've got the Rick knees Bengala into extinction. And I've also got the Bengala kick Sexy Star right in the FUD as well. I've obviously been having fun watching this match.
Yeah.
Who did you want to win this?
I think I was... I think given what it was, I could see the appeal in Big Rick because, there's an intimidating guy to be your number 1 contender. But I was kind of siding with King Cuerno because I feel like we started to get momentum for him early and it's kind of gone away a bit. And I like him. There's something interesting about the character. Who were you? Yeah,
me too. I wanted King Cuerno to win. I did think that Phoenix would end up winning it.
Yeah.
But I wanted King Cuerno.
I think the way they've told the story with Phoenix plus who I thought would end the night as champion, it kind of made sense for it to be Phoenix.
And it wouldn't have been that surprising if it had actually been Sexy Star with a roll-up or something like that. But we're not going to go through it, but feckin' Davari gets involved in this, doesn't he?
He does. What is it he comes out to? Does he attack Big Rick?
Oh, he does.
Yeah.
He does. He screams you're fired at him and hits him with a chair. Does Marty the Moth he does, doesn't he? He gets involved in this as well. He confronts Sexy Star.
Marty the Moth as a disturbing way of just standing behind someone and doing his wing flap thing.
You know when Joe Hendry spins around and he's got that kind of daft smile look on his face? That's kind of like Marty, but in a more sinister sort of way.
There is something very unsettling about Marty.
Oh God. Dear me. Let's not go through a seven-way match, move by move. It did towards the end look like Jack Evans was actually going to win this, and I thought surely no, Stu Hart would be beside himself. But He does that cool sort of bridge roll-up thing.
He does.
That looks really hard to kick out of, but Phoenix manages to kick out of that. He hits a super kick and the fire driver on Jack Evans, and that's enough.
Yeah.
Phoenix is the gift of the Gods champion, and he'll be able to call his shot. Quite a lofty, quite an up and down season he's had from being introduced with. There was 3 of them introduced all in the same episode, wasn't there? Phoenix, Pentagon, and somebody else.
Yeah, who was the third? Yeah, but he's. I think probably in terms of position and storyline, he's always been. He had the storyline with Mil Muertes and Katarina, where he was a pawn basically in what was going on, but he was there. And he got a big win over Mil Muertes.
That was a really good match, the casket match that they had as well.
Yeah. So I think much as I would have enjoyed King Cuerno, the storyline pushes you towards Phoenix being the right person.
And Phoenix, I don't think we've seen Phoenix versus Prince Puma throughout this season, have we?
Don't think so.
Which is what you would have got if Prince Puma had defended his title, and like you say, with Mil Muertes, there's history there, so intriguing either way. Okay, we've got Blue Demon Jr., who appears to have turned heel. He's with the crew.
Yeah, nice suits with blue trim for the crew.
And
very suave.
He's taken on Tejano. It seems this is a bit of a Pride of Mexico type match going on here. I don't know what Blue Demon's wearing, but I've got that he looks incredibly cool. He's not wearing a suit. Are you saying the crew?
I've got listed that the crew are wearing suits. Now, maybe I wouldn't have said about Blue Demon because he's usually,
he's a dapper guy.
To the hilt.
Yeah, indeed.
So this kind of, is it out of the blue? So Melissa gets handed an envelope to read out, and we hear that due to his status, Dario has granted Blue Demon Jr.'s request to make this match a no DQ.
Yeah.
So the deck is officially stacked against Tejano here.
Yep. This was all a bit lazy, wasn't it? I was just great, okay. So we get Tejano versus the crew, basically, in Blue Demon. Your boy Tejano hits an incredible tilt-a-whirl. It's up there on the crushometer. Very impressive.
Nice. I got very confused early on here.
What?
So I say early on, I've maybe only got so many notes here, but we wouldn't talk through this in a whole lot of detail anyway. Blue Demon Jr. is in control. He has a cane. The crew are holding Tejano in place, and then Chavo runs down with a chair, and I'm thinking, but they're all pals there, are they not? Now, because it felt like they were trying to tell the story of there's some jeopardy here in terms of what Chavo's about to do.
Chavo definitely had beef with Blue Demon because he was mocking him about Tejano being Mexico now.
He did, and I felt like as soon as Blue Demon was affiliated with the crew, that for me was affiliating him with Chavo as well.
Yes, good point. Yep. So Chavo comes out, hits Tejano with a chair, then gives it to Blue Demon to hit Tejano with it as well. And was that mirroring something that had happened earlier in the season? I remember Chavo attacked Blue Demon, didn't he?
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah.
But Blue Demon is full on heel. He smashes Tejano with the chair and gets the pin. And Chavo,
I'm sure when Chavo was trying to get in Blue Demon's head a few weeks ago, he was talking about how, if these families aligned, the Blue Demon family and the Guerrero family, they would be unstoppable.
That's right, he did. Okay, so Chavo and Blue Demon appear to be working on the same page with the crew as well, all together.
Yeah.
No memorial for Bale. I don't know if you noticed, but it wasn't.
No.
We didn't. Like at the Oscars, how they do a.
Yeah. No, they've just very, very quickly moved on.
Yeah, he's just been swept up and put in the corner of Matanza's cage.
Yeah.
Okay, Adam. We come to our main event of Ultima Lucha. It's Prince Puma, the champion, taking on Mil Muertes, challenger. I'm going to just go right to the end of my notes. I think I've got absolutely millions of notes for this. I think it was class.
Yeah, this was a good match.
Don't think we've seen these two together apart from the little brawl that they had.
Yeah, no, I don't think they'd ever actually had a match. But yeah, this, like, when we're thinking about this being like a super show, I suppose you've had the Alberto and Johnny match at the start, and then this at the end, which very, very good quality matches.
Aye.
But yeah, I was really impressed with this. There's something you end up getting behind. I was very happy for Mil Muertes to be champion. I've been happy with the idea of Mil Muertes being champion for weeks, but you kind of get behind Prince Puma. He's got that underdog thing about
every
him.
time.
Yeah.
Every time it's like you think, he's going to get he's going to get squashed. Well, actually, he's like picking him up and throwing him about, and keeps fighting from behind, and he grows. He grows as the match goes on. I think, and at times he's taken over.
Yeah,
he's definitely got fight in him.
Yeah,
he's not just all flippy shit.
Mm-hmm.
There's a guy in the crowd that I assume is standing like right next to a microphone or something during this. You can hear him a few times. Puma. So what happens? Somehow Puma ends up picking up Katarina, and he sort of runs into Mil with her.
Yes,
do you remember?
He uses, so does he spin her so that her stiletto kicks Mil? Is that what happens?
And there's a guy in the crowd goes, yeah, that's why he's the champ.
Oh, that's why he's the champ.
Because he picks up women and throws them at people.
Oh, that's the key. Who knew?
He says something else. Oh, that's what it was. So later on, after Mil's been back on top, Puma gets a few kicks back in, starts to get back on top, and the guy goes, come on, Puma, do what you've done your whole life and fight.
Amazing.
Like, who's this guy? He must be paid by El Rey Network or something.
It maybe be the new replacement announcer in
Maybe.
season 2.
Maybe.
This was his audition.
There's that thing that Mil Muertes has done a few times where someone's going to come diving out the second rope and he just cuts them off with a chair shot as they're coming out the ring. And it's never soft. It's never a Hogan dink. It's a smasher.
Yeah. As someone who isn't a big fan of chair shots to the head or anywhere near that area, I kind of laugh every time it happens.
I feel like the crowd, as this match went on, got more and more behind Mil Muertes.
Yeah, certainly towards the end, they were definitely behind him. Which is a shame for poor Prince Puma.
It is a bit, and I do like that he's held the title the whole season. Mm-hmm. And we did expect it to bounce about a little bit, but there's the way that they've framed him as like being from that area and he belongs to the people and all that sort of stuff. Yeah,
it's sold as this is your guy, and not in a ram it down your throat way like we've seen with several WWE guys over the years, but just in a we're going to let you embrace this guy because we know you want
to. How do we get to a finish? Let's have a look. We get so Puma. I think Puma hits a 630. Actually, gets
he does.
Only gets
Mil
2.
Kicks out, which I think was the first maybe kick out of a 630.
So he goes for another one and misses.
Yeah, and then Mil hits a flatliner and Puma kicks out of that. And I don't think that had ever been kicked out of either.
I like that. Both men are like selling that they're absolutely knackered.
Mm-hmm.
Really like that. What have we got? Both men are on the top rope. But Mil runs up and does like the Kurt Angle thing where he like jumps up and hits a flatliner from coming down for the top rope. Yeah. Crazy. That's definitely that. And that's, if he kicks out of that, again, like with the cinder block, you kind of think, oh, come on.
Yeah.
But it wasn't enough. It was enough, and that got the 3. I like that. It's a good finish.
Yeah, and I felt like as much as they had little bits and pieces of Katarina influence during the match, she wasn't decisive in the end sequence, which I liked.
Here's a classic line for a striker: "The age of death has begun."
Oh.
Katarina takes her lick from Puma. We get disciples join them in the ring, and they all hold their gold aloft.
Yeah.
As what would normally be the show going off the air, but then we get like a little bit at the end. So, like a really good match to finish off the season, though.
Yeah, very good. And I think we tried to take a guess, maybe at midway point, if Puma was going to who would be champion at the end of the season. I think we said.
Yep.
And we both got it wrong.
Did you? What did we say?
So you said Johnny Mundo,
right?
And I said Cage.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, I'm happy to be wrong.
So I think at the time it had maybe just been after they'd been kind of messing about with the Mil Muertes and Katarina dynamic and with the Phoenix stuff. And I wonder if we maybe both thought he was a bit out of the picture at that point.
So there's a lot goes on at the end. It's kind of like post-credit Marvel scene that we get at the end. So we get Dario and Black Lotus. They're all like packing up his office. It's amazing how quickly she's just like trusted.
Oh yeah, she's all in.
The sleaziest man in LA.
Yep. I mean, a big bag of money maybe helps.
Nah, true.
She was just stuffing money into a bag.
He's a handsome man.
Well, yeah, obviously.
He's definitely got the gift of the gab as well. So they race out his office into a waiting car, which I don't know if you noticed, but it's got a trailer on the back of it. He's tried to convince her that his brother's not an animal or a killer, but he's got a trailer for him.
There's a wee hole in it where you can see him looking out.
It's like sort of a cartoon. That's brilliant. We see Phoenix leaving with his Gift of the Gods belt, but he's in like a lowrider type car, I think, isn't he?
Yeah.
And we see King Cuerno with his cowboy hat and a pickup truck.
I thought it was King Cuerno, but I wasn't sure. Yeah, just
he's following him.
Yeah,
keeping a close eye on him.
Yeah,
the hunter. We see Marty in a broom cupboard or something. He's taking Sexy Star prisoner, and he says, "You won't be laughing when you meet my sister."
Yeah. Yeah, that I feel like it's got away from Marty a wee bit. Like he's come in as this, sort of lovable rogue kind of a character, and it's got away from him.
He's snapped. Yep. Yeah. He was Patrick Bateman, and now he's went fully off the rails.
Yeah.
We get Son of Havoc telling Angelico that they're going to get their titles back. I'll see you on the open road.
Yeah.
Mason. Unfortunately, then hops on the back of Evillise's motorbike, and it could only be worse for him if there'd been a sidecar and he was sat in it or something like that.
Yeah, I was like, I thought, is he going for full banter here? Because he says something to her like, "What do you say, babe? One last ride?" he's just going for the gags here, which tells him to just shut up and get on the bike. So yeah,
a little bit humiliating for him. We get a bit of a bromance goodbye between Aerostar and Drago.
Yeah,
Drago lights his pyro again, or flies away.
Yeah,
Aerostar fucking gets beamed up into the sky.
Yeah.
Sometimes this Lucha Underground, it surprises you every time, doesn't it?
I would hate all of this if it was on any other promotion. I would hate it.
Yeah. Yeah, imagine WWE had a guy that they said came from the stars and he was beamed up after he left his matches.
Yeah, terrible.
We get Pentagon and Vampiro sort of limping out together. Pentagon asks him where they're going now, and Vampiro says to a much darker place.
Yep.
So he must have signed with Impact Wrestling or something. No, that's just a wee joke, but you didn't seem to enjoy it. Your boy Azteca? No, it's not Azteca. It's the other guy. Because Azteca's dead.
Azteca's dead.
It's the other guy that didn't let him in to the temple. I was saying to him, like, the prophecy and all that. So it's like a hooded guy, spray paints a question mark on the Lucha Underground sign above the temple. So I can only think that the Riddler will be back for season 2. But Adam, I was telling you that my kids have got a Rey Mysterio figure, and he's got the exact same question mark on his clothes.
Oh, we have thought an appearance by Rey Mysterio seems likely at some point.
Yep. Yeah. So could that be what that is? And then we have Dario Cueto staring into, he's sort of leave it in the temple again. He's putting all the lights off and all that.
Yeah.
With the message to be continued.
Yeah.
And it sounds like, from what I've read afterwards, that they were really struggling for funding to get season 2 going.
Okay.
But as we know, there's 4 seasons.
It was me thinking that it was a shame that there were only 4 seasons, but I suppose if season 2 was in question, we should be thankful.
Yeah. Well, I think they'd signed their talent to like 7-year contracts or something like that. So somebody was confident somewhere, but
yeah.
So there we go. Ultima Lucha, our first experience of Ultima Lucha, and it's very enjoyable.
Oh yeah, yeah. This was all really good fun. I was feeling terrible for the majority of what I watched, but this cheered me up a wee bit. Apart from the announcer guy, he just
yeah. Please don't bring him back.
No.
Was he like South African or something? He had like a
maybe. Yeah, I found it a wee bit difficult to tell, like accent.
Yeah. Highlights of Ultima Lucha.
I think that opening and closing match, the Alberto and Johnny match, thought was excellent. Bit annoying with the finish, but excellent match. And the Lucha Underground World Title match, I thought was a barn burner. I thought it was
nice.
An excellent match.
Yep.
So yeah, I think there's plenty there for me to be enthusiastic about moving forward.
Brilliant.
This is a very, very good, like, if you consider everything, like, from episode 1, where you have to get through them trying to establish who some of the guys are, because that's just how it goes. And then getting into the rhythm of most of the guys they're using being established and getting storylines going. And then only really, I felt like maybe a couple episodes towards the end where it became less about that episode and more about the build to Ultima Lucha. But yeah, just generally overall, very, very good.
Yeah, I can only think a couple of times where I've thought this feels like filler episodes.
Yeah.
And over the course of a 39 episode season, and like you're laughing when it comes to that. I definitely, I had my doubts as to whether after we watched the first 4, if you would want to continue. I'm delighted at how much you've embraced it. I think it's the sort of thing that you do just fully embrace and you live within its story, and it's very much its own thing, isn't it?
I've got there's not that many, but there's 1 or 2 guys at my work who are into wrestling, and they'll be like, "Oh, did you watch this WWE show?" And I'll be like, "No, but what I have done is I've watched 4 episodes of Lucha Underground, and I feel like I need to tell you about them."
Spreading the good word
is watch Lucha Underground. Then we can talk.
It's crazy. I think it was on Netflix in the US, but it's not something I'd ever really heard of until, like the last couple of years or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a really good find. It's a good suggestion by you.
I think if more people, I don't know how many people would have saw it in the UK or anything like that, but I feel like if that was on now, I feel like people would definitely watch it.
Yeah, I do wonder. If
that was on a streaming service or something.
Yeah, if it maybe just didn't find the right home at the right time when it was there, because it's so different and it's really refreshingly different.
Aye. Like in the perfect way that you kind of need an alternative. Okay, so we're going to go to season 2, aren't we? We're going to watch season 2.
We are, yeah.
But we'll have a wee break where we're going to have a week each where we picked a pay-per-view to watch. And given that you've been pretty unwell, I've decided to pick for our first week, and then you can pick one next time. I stuck out a wee poll on our Instagram to see if people liked my 2 choices were All In, the original All In, 2018, or All In 2024, AEW All In 2024 from Wembley. So Wembley has got the votes, Adam.
Wembley has got the votes.
Main event, Swerve Strickland, Killshot versus Bryan Danielson.
Okay.
Kind of hoped I can't. I think I sent you the cards, and I can't remember who's on the card. Hopefully, it's a 2 or 3 Lucha Underground people we can pick out.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah.
Christian's on the card, so
can't go wrong with Christian.
Got that going for us. We got Will Ospreay versus MJF, so I see.
Curious to see Will Ospreay, because I've never really seen Will Ospreay,
right?
And you hear what I'm not sure about is I don't think he's my style of wrestler, but I heard there was a podcast I was listening to, and I can't remember who it was, but they're basically saying, much as I don't necessarily love that kind of wrestling, that guy and somebody else are the best at doing it. So if you're going to be watching that kind of wrestling, watch those guys.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
he's a lot more well-rounded in the last, say, in the last 5 years. He's put on a lot of muscle and probably become a lot more than just a flippy dippy kind of guy. But we'll see what you think of it.
Yeah.
And then you can pick after that, and then we'll get into season 2.
Nice.
Any final thoughts on Lucha?
No, I don't think so. Just thoroughly enjoyed the journey, and yeah, really good. I kind of don't feel like I've watched wrestling,
Mm-hmm.
and it started at a point in time where I felt like I needed to not watch wrestling for a while.
I feel you.
So yeah, just very entertaining, very enjoyable. What about you?
I didn't expect to get to the end of season 1 and be like, I'm up for season 2 like straight away.
Yeah.
I did not expect that at all. I thought, well, maybe get to the end of season 1 and be desperate to go into someone else like we have been in the past. No, I'm happy to go to season 2. It's a shorter season. I think this one was 10 episodes of our podcast. I think looking at season 2 would be around 6.
Okay.
So, and there's Ultima Lucha is a 3-parter this time.
Nice.
So yeah, cool. Right. Well, I look forward to getting abusive texts from you about watching AEW, and we'll speak and we'll talk all in 2024 in 2 weeks' time.
Excellent.
Cool. Take it easy, buddy. Hope you feel better.
Thank you.